welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today's video is a follow-up from the one we did last week with the lawnmowers and whatnot, but we had our little unknown saw here who made it, the Dynamark. And so we had a contest to see if anybody could figure it out who actually made it. And actually the very first comment I got, he had it dialed right on the nose. He knew exactly what it was. I'd never heard of a Dynamark before, never seen one in all the years I've been dealing with saws, but it's actually made by Lombard, and this is a Lombard Little Lightning in disguise. It's a 39cc, made in 1976 to 79. Very similar in design to a Homelite XL, Mini XL there. And it's got a 1/4 inch pitch chain. The thing that's kind of interesting on it though is the bar on it here actually has a sprocket tip on it. Most saws, the small, don't. And then the dogs, the spike dogs there for cutting into the wood or holding the saw into the wood, are actually cast on the front cover instead of being a bolt-on piece like most saws. Just the typical thing. You got your throttle lock here and recoil. You got your choke right here, ignition switch there. It's nicely laid out. Get my info out here on it. Let's see, it weighs 11 pounds, ready to go. It's got a 14-inch bar. And the thing that was kind of interesting on the history of these, I think that these were more popular in the Midwest and maybe back east. A lot of interesting comments from people. One of them said that they were distributed by Briggs & Stratton for a while. Another one said that there's a place called Central Tractor Farm Stores and they sold Dynamark, but when I looked into the Dynamark name, it was owned by a company called MTD, which is Modern Tool and Die, and they're a company that makes most of the garden tractors and stuff in the US today. They bought up almost every company you can think of. And anyway, one comment I got was that some of these, the bigger models, were actually Homelites in disguise. So they would buy stuff out and sell it as a different brand, so you could have two brands in the store that are basically the same thing with a different price point. Anyway, what we'll do is talk about the history of the company a little bit. I started making saws in 1949, and through a buyout they lasted through the early 80s. And I'll be right back and show you what an early Lombard looks like. Okay, like I say, 49 is the first year that I could find they made saws. This was a 1951 Woodlot Wizard. And like so many companies that got into the chainsaw business, they bought out the engines. There again, this one has a Power Products H47, which is 77cc or 4.7 cubic inch. And the companies would make their own fuel tanks, frames, gearboxes. This is a gear reduction saw. And even the engine shroud is cast aluminum instead of stamped tin. It's got this really weird shaped handle here. And it's got a throttle lever right here. It all has one up here also. And you know, typical of early saws, just a straight exhaust stack. Everything's out in the open. Okay, well, we're going to talk about how I figured out who made this saw, because on the chainsaw forums and anywhere I looked I could find nothing about the Dynamark name. And so I had watched some videos in the past from Darren's Chainsaws. It's a channel that's defunct now, but he did a lot on old saws and he restored them and did occasional outboard motor stuff. This is a long time ago, but I kind of remembered the outlook of this saw, so I went and looked it up, and sure enough he was talking about this exact saw, but it was a Lombard, and so that's who actually made this, is Lombard. And so anyway, that's how I figured it out. And then when I tried to find out information about Dynamark, the thing that I found was that it was a private label. It was attributed to the MTD company, which is Modern Tool and Die, make garden tractors and all kinds of other farm equipment and yard equipment. But anyway, like I say, it was a private label saw, and I could find stuff on Dynamark garden tractors, but nothing on the saws. But anyway, they contracted with Lombard to make them. So that was a long way around, and I was amazed at how many people on our video knew what this was. In fact, the very first comment that we got knew exactly what it was, and I think that these were common maybe in the Midwest and stuff, not so much out here on the West Coast. But anyway, I've got it running. It's going to take a little bit to get it all set in and settled, but anyway, let's take it over and get cutting. Alright, well, we're getting ready to cut, so I'll get the saw warmed up and be right back. Well, it cuts pretty good. Need to lean the carburetor out a little bit. Still got a few little glitches in this saw to work over. Anyway, well, there you can see, just in the carb a little bit, made all the difference in the world. Runs great. Remember, vintage is always good, and we'll see you on the next video.